The plot of the Bob's Burgers movie has been kept under wraps in the marketing for the film. We knew coming into the picture that Bob would be in financial trouble, Gene would be chasing his musical dreams, and Tina would be as concerned as ever about her romantic feelings for Jimmy Jr., as is customary for the series. The trailers also revealed a major new movie-only hazard, a sinkhole forming in front of Bob's Burgers. What did they keep hidden? That there is a body in the sinkhole. Cotton Candy Dan, a Wonder Wharf carny who went missing 6 years ago, was found dead. The outcome is a murder mystery in the vein of Bob's Burgers. What happens after the mystery is answered, and what does it entail for each of the Belcher family's 5 story arcs? Calvin Fisher, the proprietor of Wonder Wharf, is the leading suspect in Cotton Candy Dan's murder. If their landlord is proven guilty, it will be even worse for the Belchers, so Louise takes her siblings on an inquiry to identify the real murderer, out of both a desire to aid her family and to prove her own personal bravery. The Belcher kids discover from Sergeant Bosco that a cufflink with the picture of a banana and a graduate cap was recovered at the crime scene. Other carnies indicate that Calvin's brother Felix was also present on the night of the murder 6 years earlier, giving the kids even more information. Felix is now the obvious suspect, and all that's required to prove his guilt is a matching cufflink in his hands. The youngsters pursue Felix, which leads to a chase that leads them to the Wonder Wharf molehill ride. Gene gets carried away pressing buttons inside their vehicle, and one button with a large "Do Not Press" label leads him and his sisters down a slide to the Fishers' secret clubhouse. Calvin, Felix, and their cousin and lawyer Grover Fisher are all present, astonished to see the Belcher kids in their hiding place. They're given a tour of the Under Wharf, which houses discarded ride parts. It's hard trying to warn Calvin about what the youngsters think is the reality about his brother Felix. It's much better when you get to interact with Felix himself. The genuine solution to the mystery, on the other hand, can be found in one of the hidden clubhouse's images. Grover is wearing the banana graduate cufflinks in a family photo, which Louise notices. Louise also observes bite marks on Grover's arm, one of which matches the grooves of the tooth Louise stole from the crime scene. The genuine assailant has been apprehended. Grover reveals his nefarious motives through a musical piece that he performs for the entire Belcher family. Bob and Linda conveniently just happen to fall into the secret clubhouse in the midst of trying to hide from a mob of angry carnies. It's all about getting Calvin's inheritance money and declaring him a felon in order to keep him from receiving it. Grover's greed is fueled by his hatred for his family and a general sense of being overlooked. Those cufflinks were a graduation present he bought himself because no one else remembered to give him one. So, how did Cotton Candy Dan's body wind up in front of Bob's Burgers, buried in the street? That happened by chance. Grover hid the body under a pile of dirt, hoping that someone would see it, but instead, a construction worker simply shifted the dirt without noticing the body. 6 years, a sinking sinkhole, and one 9-year-old girl anxious to prove her bravery would pass before anybody found the body that had been left in plain sight. Grover had no intention of letting the Belchers survive after divulging everything to them. The family attempts to flee via one of the Under Wharf's clam-shaped ride vehicles, which is clearly neither the quickest or most expedient route of escape. Grover pursues them in a similarly slow vehicle, but the chase eventually leads them to the sinkhole, where the killer forces the Belchers in and buries them alive with dirt. This is the Belchers' darkest hour, with Louise's Coochie Kopi nightlight as their only source of light, and a flickering, unreliable one at that. Faced with what appears to be their deaths, the family survives the ordeal with some major emotional disclosures. Linda, who is usually the family's continuous source of hope, even in the worst of circumstances, can't be that now. Bob tells about how she has given him hope for many years, and that as a result, he can now try to give her hope when she most needs it. In the whole, Louise has some major emotional disclosures that need to be fleshed out. Louise has a lot of insecurity in the Bob's Burgers movie, and it's all because of her trademark pink bunny ears headgear. She was scared of going to preschool, and the hat was given to her as a gift to make her feel brave. Years later, she's still scared to be seen without it, and she's starting to feel uncomfortable about her infantile coping technique. However, when she tells her family about her concerns in the pit, it turns out that the true story of her hat is not what she remembers. Louise was apprehensive about attending preschool, but she made it through the first day without her hat. It was handed to her afterwards, not as a source of courage, but as a prize for the courage she had already shown. Bob also had another reason for gifting Louise her hat. His late mother wore a knit hat all the time, and this was a chance for his daughter to connect with the grandma she never met. By driving lower through the pipe, breaking it again and producing another burst of water to liberate the car, Bob is able to rescue his family out of the hole. Teddy, who had been lamenting the loss of his homemade Bob Burgers food cart, notices and rushes over to assist his companions in getting out of the clam vehicle, despite the fact that they can't hear each other through the windows. It's up to the Belchers and Teddy to keep Calvin and Felix safe after they've been apprehended. Grover intends to drown his brothers in a miniature submarine and detonate a bomb made of stolen plush animals at Wonder Wharf. Teddy dials 911, and his call, as inarticulate as it may be, is answered. The Belchers ride the molehill and stop the fuse for the stuffed animal bomb, while the cops arrive to rescue Calvin and Felix. Grover is apprehended by Sergeant Bosco, Calvin's name is cleared, and things can begin to return to normal. Calvin Fisher owed the Belchers a debt of gratitude after the Belchers saved his life and cleared him of being a murder suspect. He clearly has the capacity and resources to help them out as the affluent landlord of the family's house and restaurant, and he does, albeit perhaps not as much as he might or should. In essence, Mr. Fisher offers to waive their rent for the month and assist them with their current bank loan payment. Bob's financial anxiety about whether he'll be able to keep the restaurant is gone for the time being. Bob's Burgers will always be a struggling business, but the Belchers' perseverance and willingness to help others in their community pays off and keeps things from crumbling completely. Mr. Fisher owes them more for everything they did to aid him, and Linda is completely correct. Tina's plot in the Bob's Burgers movie is similar to many of the series' Tina-centric episodes in that it revolves around her ever-changing views about love and her on-again, off-again romance with her crush Jimmy Jr. She worries about how to ask Jimmy Jr. out to be her summer lover throughout the film. She decides to make a barraclouse, a necklace with a barrette, for him, but the thing gets lost in the midst of the pandemonium on Wonder Wharf. Fortunately for Tina, Jimmy Jr. discovers the barraclouse on his own and delivers it to her on the last day of the school year since it reminds him of her. Tina's monologue about whether genuine love is possible and if her original summer boyfriend plan was a good idea or not confuses Jimmy Jr., but she eventually musters the guts to kiss him. Gene's story in the Bob's Burgers movie is the least important of the 5 family members to the overall film, but it is a sweet send-off. Gene, who invents a new instrument out of spoons attached to a napkin holder with a rubber band at the start of the movie, is both excited and nervous to perform with his band, the Itty Bitty Ditty Committee, at the Wonder Wharf this summer. His actual performance is framed in the film's concluding montage, which features different resolutions. Apart from his parents and Mr. Fisher, no one shows up for the concert, and Bob is still not a fan of Gene's current musical phase, but the boy is pleased, and that's all that really matters. With the performance of the Itty Bitty Ditty Committee, Burger Buns leading immediately into a dance party ending credits sequence including just about every Bob's Burgers character who didn't fit into the movie itself, audiences are likely to be happy as well.